Hey, it's Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit. I'm one half of the Dungeon Swag team, and I'm back in the 3.5 Monster Manual, and we're on Elementals. Let me quickly say I got to meet some of you guys while I was on my work trip. That was really cool, and I met some new people too, and that was amazing. I met a couple artists and a gentleman buying a gaming store potentially, and I made some new friends. It was really cool. So, anyways, and for those of you that I met, hey, that was awesome. I'm really glad that we had that opportunity, and I appreciate you watching the channel. So the Monster Manual 3.5 Elemental entries, they only show concept art for the Stone Elemental, the Earth Elemental. But what I want to do is I want to do a Fire Elemental, and I want to do a big one. So if you look at the Fire Elemental sizes, an Elder Fire Elemental is 40 foot tall. So 8 inches. So let's start out with a CD or a DVD-ROM or CD-ROM or Blu-ray or whatever you got, something big to use as a base. And let's get that going. Something big for a base starting out, just the way it should be. Oh my. Now, I looked at some concept art online for what the Fire Elemental should look like. And I have some official miniatures, so I kind of knew what they want. I don't like those, and I don't think they're very creative or fun. So what I want to try to do is make something that you could also double as like a Balrog or something if you needed to. And I know I usually try to go somewhere near the concept art for the most part. Well, we all know what happened with that horrible snail delver, but besides that. Okay, so we got a good start for the base there. Now for our base, I don't want to do any texture or anything on it just yet. What I'd like to do is actually start building our miniature first, and then go from there. Because I think that'll make it easier. So what I'm going to do is double check that I cut off all the excess flash. It's close. I missed a couple spots. Alright. So I'm going to get a dab of glue here and here. And I'm going to glue this to this, so we have something to work on. Alright, so we need a basic shape. So I think the easiest thing to work with would be tin foil. Tin foil. Aha! Papier de aluminum. De aluminium. C'est très bon. So, my thought is, we'll make him kind of like the Balrog, and we'll give him some kind of formless features, and then we'll come back over him with some foam or some cardstock, and need some hot glues, some foam or cardstock, and put like an outer dark gray layer. So let's get our posture going first. Let's drag that around and make sure it's good and solid on there and it holds in place while we're working. Get another lump. And it's important that we have this guy crouching down, because if he's actually 8 foot tall, the amount of storage space you'd need to keep something like this would just be ridiculous. So we're going to have him kind of crouching down in a way that we can, like he's kind of kneeling halfway. You want as much of this kind of texture here as possible to make this work. And you don't want it to be real rounded. So if you roll it like I just did, make sure you come back and dent it up and make it look bad again. I'm using quite a bit of hot glue here. And these are just the bottoms of his legs. And you're like, oh, Doom, what are the skulls for? Well, I'll tell you when we get there. So for his next part of his legs, we're going to get about that same big of a size again. We're going to get 2 of those. And we're going to figure out how the legs are going to go together with a crotch. And we want to grab and move that around and get as much contact area as possible to stabilize that. That's alright, it only burns a little bit until it doesn't. Oh, that one I actually didn't really burn. That one was okay. Alright, so now we need like a cod piece. And this cod piece is more so to kind of hold things together in the middle. So what you want to do is you want to get a piece roughly the size of its waist. Then you want to kind of bring some of that down to a point. Then you want to widen that up. And then have like a butt and a front. So I'm just pushing that in with some muscle. A little bit of backbone. And we want it to kind of be leaning forward. And then we want to get some in there. Kind of fill that out. Okay, and wiggle that around. You don't want any driblets coming down and make it look like he's pooping. Alright, now we need a face. So I have some skulls here, and that one's going to be too small, and that one's going to be a little too small, and that might be a little too big. But since I'm going to do this a little different than you're thinking, it just might work. So this is a kind of a bigger piece. This is about a little bit over 1.5 feet long. And what I want to do is I want to kind of get that in there a little bit and start building a torso. And I want it to be kind of bulky, even though these things don't weigh much and they're really just, you know, hot air and stuff, smoke and whatever. I want mine to look buff. And you can do yours how you want yours to look. But I want mine to look kind of buff. So I'm just going to add layers. Now check his height. Alright, good. Starting to get his height where I want it. So I'm just going to get inside here with some glue and force that into shape around the skull. Get a couple glue sticks out. This is going to be glue heavy, I'm thinking. Okay. And like I said, I want mine to come across as kind of buff, but you make yours how you want. It's important when you're making stuff like this that you're doing it your way. So now I'm just going to sprinkle this up, and I'm going to thicken up that chest. Now for his arms, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of make the length of the arms rough, and then I'm going to twist where I want that joint to be, where I want that joint to sit. And you want to make sure that you have a good areas to catch to let this solidify. Now we're going to add some shoulders on here and stuff too, but for now we just want to make sure let me see if I can lift this up a little so you can see better what I'm doing. Just making an arm. Okay. And then I'm going to twist that where I want that elbow to be. I'm going to flatten that where I want it to sit. I'm going to get that. Okay. And then I do want to do fingers and everything too. But first, let's get some of these spots filled in where it doesn't look great. Like around his shoulders. We want to make sure that's filled in good, so we're just going to get some glue and drag it around. Squirt it liberally, and then drag it into position to fill in those gaps. Okay. We're not looking for perfection here. And remember, I've said it 100 times, perfection is not a prerequisite to a good craft. Not in the least. Now, if you have sensitive hands on this part, you might want to do it differently. I'm pretty good about getting burnt. Doesn't really mind. But heat transfers through the tinfoil, we all know that. So let's try to make some better choices in that direction, okay? Okay, so that's the rough shape of how I want my dude to kind of look. I do want to add some bulkier shoulders. And to do that, I'm just going to ball some up. My torso looks dumb. You could kind of do yours however you want. Mine's not looking exactly how I'd hoped it'd look, but he's ballpark. So make a shoulder piece, stick it on. I'm just getting this here like that. Using the glue to mush it around. Sticky up pieces are going to be fine. Next time I'm going to be out of town, if you hop on Discord and you live on the East Coast somewhere, if I'm going somewhere near you, I'll try to set up to hang out for a little bit. Try not to kill me or anything, because I do have to get home to my family. There's a bunch of dooms here waiting for me to come back. Nobody killed me this week, so it seems pretty nice. And it was really nice to meet new people, too. If any of you watching are the new people I met, I really do appreciate it. I had a nice time talking to everybody. Okay. I'm a little happier with my shape now. We got to do some fingers, though. Oh, I got glue stuck to my hand really bad. All right. So to do the fingers, I'm just going to twist some chunks. And I'm going to curve them a little bit. And I'm going to do the thumbs first. In a manner at which it looks like they would stick okay. I'm going to drag that all around and get it in there. Push it in some. You might think that's crazy, but we're going to need 2 thumbs. So we'll make 2 of those. And they don't have to be perfectly symmetrical. Okay. Let's do some fingers. And my elementals are only going to have 2 or 3 fingers. They're not going to have a bunch of fingers. I don't think that adds too much to it. Okay. And your fingers don't even actually have to be like the same length, I don't suppose. I mean, that shouldn't matter too much. Plenty of glue. Met some really cool people, non-channel related too, actually. Met a young lady with an insane, interesting story to tell. I met some people that were from LA County who fled to Texas because apparently they had some unhappiness with the local political people. They were very interesting. I met some two young guys who were still trying to sell encyclopedias in modern day. Didn't even know that was still a thing. So, needless to say, my trip was exciting this time. I usually don't meet people, but I was kind of out meeting some people from, some subscribers from YouTube anyways, since I was out of town and I was in their areas. And then, that's not what my trip was for. I was out, I was doing my job. Like, this is not my job. This is something I do for fun, but. So I met some people. And then since I was out talking and being social for once, I decided to expand my conversation to other things and met some other people along the way. Standing outside the front of the hotel, I met the people that had fled California for Texas. And I didn't even know, how bad the homeless problem was and stuff in California. I had to look it up. Because the stuff they were telling me was kind of like gasping. Like, wow, really? I never would have thought, I met a Warhammer painter. I mean, I've painted Warhammer, and not as much as Scorbic does, but, I painted some, and my friend Paul paints it, and so I've met a Warhammer painter that was, pretty intense and seemed to be pretty knowledgeable about the price points and what's going on with Games Workshop. stuff. Work chat. All right, we're starting to get there. I wish I could tell you everybody's business. I met a ton of people. I just don't want to get like, I don't want to like tell all these weird people, not weird, but all these different people, like, I don't want to put their business out there, you know what I mean? Like, I have a lot more story to tell, but I don't want to. Oh, I'm burning bad. Ow. Ow. Oh shit, under the fingernail. Excuse my French. Ow, that hurts bad. And there goes some skin. I didn't like it anyways. Oh no. Now I'm going to have another one of those things that takes a month to heal. Oh well. Let me get some tape. We'll just tape that finger right up with the glue and everything there. Okay. Look, just like new. See? Okay, what was I working on? Where did I burn myself? I don't even know where I burnt myself, so I can't be careful there. All right. Okay. Yeah, I can take some burns, but I can't take ripping giant chunks of flesh off. That's not my strength. So I get for trying to talk tough. Try to talk tough and get slapped up by the powers that bees. All right. So let's let him kind of sit, and let's start looking at how we can do this. I think foam will probably be the easiest way to do this. So what I would say is get your foam and get some scissors. And kind of fake the body parts. You want to make the musculature by just making panels. Like this could be a fake piece of pec, right? And then you can just kind of make these odd shapes and stuff. That's a little big. We'll just shrink that up a little bit. And you want to really push this down and try to get it in the tin foil to hold, okay? And we're just going to go around eyeballing and making the pieces we need. Making awkward and uncomfortable boob shapes. And what you want to make sure you do is you leave a gap in between these, because that's going to matter on the paint job. So for the arm pieces, we're just going to make some rough shapes to be the shoulders. I'm stuck to it. Well, of course I am. We're doing the same thing for all of it. Just keep going around, adding to it, and getting the shapes you need. And like I said, just make them irregular and weird. It'll look better if they're not symmetrical. And these gaps are going to be crucial to success here. So for his, I got glue everywhere. For his head, what I want to do is I want to do it in some different little little panels. So I'm going to start down the middle of his forehead with him. And right now you might be like, oh, dude, that looks stupid. And you could be right. But I have a sneaking suspicion by the time we get this figured out, it's going to look okay. Just a suspicion. If you'd have told me a couple months ago, hey, Doom, do you know you're about to make the monster manual? I'd have been like, yeah, right, dude. Now here I am making the monster manual like a dumbass. Oh, well. If one person enjoys it, or one person learns something, or one person gets a cool idea, then it's probably worth it. Isn't that why we craft in the first place? To inspire ourselves and others? I think that tape can come off now because it's making it exceptionally hard to work with this. Ow, you bastard. All right. Do 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 do. So for the abs, I think what I'm going to do is just kind of get something like that going. That's way too long. Get something like that going on each side. For those of you that are not on the Discord, tomorrow night we are going to do a live paint activity where we're going to paint miniatures and do some role playing. So I'll have some dice and some little things. I have some ideas, and we're going to paint minis and do an adventure. It'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Discord. Oops. And I burned myself again. Of course I did. Now, I don't have a pattern here, and I didn't have an idea walking into this. I actually wasn't sure what elemental I was committed to kind of until I started recording, really. But I did get out a tea light in case I made a storm one, like a wind one or a fire one. And I was going to make like the traditional style if I did one and use the tea light to light it up. But I think what I'm doing here is way more fun. I'm getting more out of it anyways. Sometimes it's fun just to be chaotic and silly. Like, I might be an old man, but I'm still a kid at heart. I still enjoy like making a mess and building crap and being goofy, you know. Hell, that's one of the reasons I still play D&D after all these years. You know, it's a little escape from the real world and all the adulting you got to do. You know, once a week for 4 or 5 hours, I shut down and become the guy that runs the fictitious world everybody runs around and doing dumb shit. I mean, it doesn't really get much better than that. I don't know if you guys watch a lot of other YouTube stuff besides like making monsters or whatever. But if you do, I implore you to please check out a channel called Blandco. It's a guy named Caleb, and he is a pretty interesting dude. And although I don't say all his content is top-notch, sometimes he really, like, bangs out some goodies. And I could say that about 100 different people, but I do like Caleb a lot, and I think his channel is worth checking out. He has some really good ideas on what role-playing is. He has some really good ideas on what it means to come together and play a game. He has some good ideas about what's fair and how customers should be treated by role-playing companies. And again, you know, I'm not saying every one of his channels videos is a banger, but yeah, he's pretty interesting dude. He just posted one about John Barenthal's podcast that he does, and how the actress that played Jessica on True Blood, and she played the whatever on Daredevil, I don't know what her job was, paralegal maybe, or secretary, I don't know. But she was teaching John Barenthal about D&D, and it was awesome. I couldn't believe it. I was like, that is awesome. She's like, do you want to play right now in the middle of the podcast with no dice or anything? She's like, you're in the woods. What do you do? And, you know, Caleb covers that kind of stuff, and he talks about it, and he's interesting, you know. So, please check him out. By the way, he didn't ask me to ask you that. That's just like for your benefit. Please check him out. Like, I don't really talk to the dude or anything. We have talked, but that was about business, not about YouTube funds. So, I'm going to have to say that I do need to make some kind of shout-out system, because there's a lot of stuff that now that I watch YouTube more than I did, because like as I'm making videos, I feel like compelled to be involved and support other creators and to see what other people are working on, because you know, like when I started doing this, I didn't really watch like a ton of stuff. So I watched some mini painters and stuff, but mostly that was like background noise, kind of like my own version of ASMR or whatever. You know, I don't know what that is, ASMR, but I think it's called ASMR. Where you just like listen to stuff you want to listen to and feel nice about it. I just like listening to mini painters jab on about how good they are and how much they know. And I have some favorites of those too. But yeah, definitely been consuming a lot more YouTube and watching more D&D related content than usual. Mistcast, I think he's Australian or something. He's kind of an interesting fella. I hate to send you guys anywhere and tell you to watch anything and let, if you know, because some of these channels, I don't pay attention to that stuff. They're like, give me your money, help me so I don't have to have a job, and I don't want to be that guy that's like, hey, go find these people. You know, I just want you to watch content that's enjoyable to you. I don't want your money, and I don't want you to, well, I don't want your money for nothing, I should say. I want you to buy my miniatures, obviously. But I don't want you to just give me money to give me money. That's like a big thing on the internet now. It's like, give me money, give me money. I showed up. I did something I enjoy doing. Pay me for it. It's like, dude, you're not a pro baseball player, and if you were, I wouldn't give you my money. You might be wondering what's going on here. Well, let me get some more foam. If you understood what my paint job plan is, you would know what's going on. But my paint job plan is this. I'm going to paint the whole thing white. And then I'm going to paint it yellow. Then I'm going to dry brush it out, oranges and reds. Then I'm going to come back and not doing the outside edges of these panels, but doing the inside of them, do them in a black with a light gray on it. And I'm going to create a kind of Balroggy / fire elemental / whatever you want it to be for your situation kind of guy. I knew you were a Gruta when you walked in. I could tell by all that swag. Really nice to meet young artists. I met one artist, very talented individual. I could not use the art style that the artist was presenting, but they had a dragon in their portfolio that I'm sending to my buddy who's working on a cartoon, because I was just like, the style was definitely cartoony. There's like, you know, it wasn't like a real serious looking style, but it just had like this really neat quality to it that made you be like, oh, I wish I could use that for something. I like that. I just couldn't think of how I could realistically use it in what I'm working on in any of my endeavors. So I'm passing that artist on to someone else, hoping they can get use out of them. Because I hate to see anybody with like an inkling of talent not get an opportunity to develop and share that. Like, also still looking for a 3D modeler to do STLs. Whoever you are, if you can do the stuff I want to add to my personal monster section of the Tomorrow Comes Doom book, if you can make those prints based off of some pretty rough reference art. When I say rough, I mean I am not an artist. I am a dude in my basement. But if you know anybody interested in something like that, have them get on Discord, or if you're one of those people, just hop on Discord and come talk at me. let's talk about getting some art for the book done, and let's talk about getting some miniatures made for the game. Now these are going to drastically sturdy up this dude too, by the way. These additional panels. So make sure you're taking the time to push those down. There are some people I'd like to work with as far as miniatures go, but the price point for what they want for their miniatures is beyond what I can even consider. And the real truth is, since we're not really selling this system as a profit-based endeavor, we're doing it so that people can afford a nice role-playing game that's easy to learn and that's fun, and that you can build forever and never run out of things to do, and not have to buy a bunch of new books all the time. They kind of got to have the same attitude I have about it. Like, hey, I just want to give to the world. Like, I want to give something to people that they can have and cherish and enjoy. Unfortunately, that mindset's kind of old school, and I know I'm not a realistic person when I have ideas like this. Like Dungeon Swag, you know, we never set out to get rich or anything. It was just to get people quality miniatures for a reasonable price. And if we could get a little profit out of it, great. If not, you know, that too. And so Dungeon Swag's never been like the money maker it could have been. But it was never set out to be that, you know. And we could have put a bunch of money into advertising and stuff. You see like Loot Studios and these other companies put a ton of money into their advertising. But we're not a corporate company. We're just guys in our basements making miniatures and content and stuff. We're not, I don't know how to explain it. We're not those people. Maybe we could be those people someday, but right now we're just guys in the basement doing our thing. And I enjoy that. Ascorbic, my partner, is probably one of the best people I've ever known. And though we don't agree on everything, I don't really enjoy playing multiplayer games on the computer without him. And even if I have no games to play at the time, or I'm busy, or I'm out of town, I just like to hear his voice every couple of days because he brings me hope. He reminds me that there are smart, good people running around. Because some days I wonder. But, yeah. If you get on our Discord, he's the one who mails all the minis out and stuff. So pretty much he does all the hard parts of the business, and I just do the no parts of the business. I help pick out minis, and I keep everybody hyped. But, yeah, he's a cool dude. Get on our Discord and play some games with him, or get to know him on Paint Night. He should be there this Thursday on Paint Night with me. And you'll really like him. He's a cool dude. He is super cool. He is, like, possibly nerdier than me, but in a different way. Because, like, I'm super nerdy. You guys can tell. I mean, I'm sitting here in my basement cutting up rubbery foam stuff to make a lava plate on a fire elemental. So I'm pretty dorky, but he's got his own thing going on, too, for the dork style. And I don't mean a Wales, you know what, New York, New York. All right. We actually, before he had kids, when I just had the older Doom boys years back, he had come several times down to West Virginia to visit. And then once he got married and had kids, we've gone up there once. But it's just hard. Everybody works, you know. Everybody's busy. And we keep saying we're going to get to a convention, you know. At least, if not just for fun, but for Dungeon Swag stuff. We just haven't. Like, maybe next year. I don't know. It's so hard to plan ahead for anything anymore. You know, you try to make plans and then work things come up and family things come up and being lazy comes up and making videos for YouTubes comes up. This is a long craft. I'm sorry. I usually try to keep this stuff short. You could probably fast forward it once you understand what I'm doing here. You know what I mean? Skip through all this madness. Because we ain't done yet, kids. We're getting there, though. It's hard because I got to jabber on because I feel like it's too quiet if I don't talk. Like just sitting here breathing all heavy into the camera is creepy. Like, and now we're going to attach some foam, dudes. Now, you want gaps, and you don't want a bunch of overlap, but if you're just having trouble getting your panels where you want them and stuff, a little overlap's not going to kill you. So I do have some overlap, and I do have some gaps. So, you know, keep in mind that perfection is not a prerequisite of a good craft. And just plug along, doing the best you can. That's probably not enough glue. There we go. If I want to burn myself, I really got to put that extra effort in to get plenty of glue on there to burn me. Okay. I talked to a young man yesterday. He's an artist as well, and he's actually the Warhammer enthusiast I was speaking about. We had a really interesting conversation about how they're trying to wokeify D&D in some form, but it is already the most inclusive thing in the world. No matter where you come from or what you believe or what color your hair, skin, eyes, or anything is, it doesn't matter. You can grab a character sheet and be whatever you want and have the same chance as everybody else at the table to succeed and fail. I have never met anybody in my years of gaming that has ever been racist or hateful in any way. Maybe not at the table. I'm sure they could have been, you know, outside the table, but I've never in my years met anyone bad. I've met jerks. Don't get me wrong, but I've never met anyone that's like, oh, well, your mustache is ugly, so you die. Nope. They're just like glad someone's playing D&D. And so they're wokeifying one of the greatest inclusive activities that ever existed. And if you're not running D&D to make all your friends and family and people that you meet feel welcome, maybe you need to reevaluate the hell's wrong with you. Because you know what? It's not hard to be decent to people, man. Not hard at all. Take that extra effort to be decent to people. And that burns. La 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 la. Alright. Now we're just going to get some of these weird spots here filled out and cleaned up. I'm thinking about doing something with the hands, but I'm not sure yet. I don't know what that would really accomplish for us, not stat-wise, but function-wise. So I am going to get inside here, though, and I'm going to drag some glue around just to sturdy this all up. Let's think about that base. So I would like to do, first I'd like to dig some of this glue out from under my nail because it burns and hurts. It doesn't really burn anymore, it just feels like it's burning because it's painful. So what I want to do is I want to make some little fire spirals on the base. So I'm just going to get tin foil. And let's get that base actually kind of, let's do some weird kind of patterns on that. And all I'm doing is just dragging glue around in different ways to make it look like this dude's melting the ground as he moves around. And I don't know how good that's going to look. It might look stupid when I'm done. I'm hoping it looks okay though. I've never built anybody like this, by the way. This is a new experiment for me, so this is my first time doing this exact kind of guy. I've made some tinfoil stuff before, obviously, but this is kind of a newer thing. I hope it's going to turn out okay. So my thought is to make some like flame pillars coming up, or fire or whatever coming up. I'm just gonna kind of continue this like curvy pattern around, like the ground melts where he steps. Then I'm going to get some glue or some tin foil. I'm going to mush it flat and make it into like long skinny Hershey Kiss pieces. Then I'm just going to stick it in and whirl it around a little bit. And then I'm going to come off that. I'm going to bring some up and then let it just kind of drip down around and melt onto the base. And those are hot, so that's going to probably do that. I don't know how many of those I really need. Probably 2 or 3. Don't want to go overboard with it, but you don't want it to be, you know, underwhelming either. And maybe one on the front. Somewhere. Something maybe in this region. I don't know. I don't know. I will tell you this, if you are thinking about opening a game store or buying a game store right now, remember, do not just focus on the big brands. A lot of people are getting irritated with big businesses that take advantage of their customers. So if you want to have any kind of staying power, yes, of course, sell some of the main company stuff, sell some Warhammer stuff, sell some D&D stuff. Don't say, I'm not telling you not to, but do not make that your primary focus unless you think you can sustain on that, because people are starting to boycott these companies and stuff. I didn't think it would ever happen with D&D, but it's starting to happen. People are getting mad. And after Gen Con, I guess it's getting worse. I see nothing but videos of people slinging hate. And there's the people that are bought and paid for that are slinging some good stuff too, don't get me wrong. When I say bought and paid for, that's not fair to say, but it sure seems bought and paid for, because they have turned this into advertisements for free, in my opinion. Now, I don't run D&D anymore. I'm not saying it's good or bad product. When I did run it, I played 3.5. It was my favorite. I loved it. I ran it for years and years and years, from very early 2000s that I run 3 and 3.5 up till pretty much the beginning of this year when I started running my own systems only. I just didn't see the point of waiting to watch D&D die, so I just made my own stuff. But I do realize that, you know, a lot of you are probably still playing D&D, and that's good. Play it. Any role-playing game you play is good. It's not bad to play role-playing games. Alright. That's kind of what we wanted. Now, for his feet, for his, like, toes or whatever, what we're going to do is we're just going to drag out some rough-looking toes. And let this kind of cool and set. A lot of glue in this one. Did not anticipate that. And I would come up and I would just drag some glue in different spots where you're worried about it being weak. And don't worry about texture. The texture is going to be fine, I promise. As long as you don't go overboard. A little bit of glue melting here and there will not ruin this craft, most likely. Then I'm just going to come back over as it starts to cool and do another little layer. Alright, so I'm going to burn off some glue, spider webs, and I'm going to spray paint this guy white, and then we'll come back and paint him in part 2. This has been Doom from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit, and if you like what we're doing here, please hit like, subscribe, share, comment, notification bell icon bell, I can't remember what it is. Go to the website, maybe buy some minis. If not, come to the Discord, hang out with us, paint with us, craft with us, play some RPGs with us, maybe play some 7 Days to Die with me, because I've been playing that a lot lately. And I really appreciate your time. There's a lot of channels you could watch. You chose mine today. Thank you so much for that. And remember, Thursday, which I think the date will be the 22nd, we're going to do a live paint night, and that should be a lot of fun. But for now, here are the bare bones unpainted version of my fire elemental I'm working on. And we'll come back and paint him in part 2. He'll be all white. Thanks for watching.